Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
These are good problems to have, right? So much success that you have more than one place to be.
5-3, touchdown, Oregon.
Off the dribble, launches, and hits the three. Oregon leads.
What a great opportunity it is to be able to play at the University of Oregon.
I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of something like this.
She wants another three. Oh, three in a row.
Swing and a miss. Oregon is headed to the Super Regional.
Fans being out there making this a great impact.
We are so privileged and so fortunate. We get to see all these young people. We get to see this incredible growth, which is what college is all about.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
It is game week for Oregon football. Ducks going through practice this morning. Inside the Michovsky Center, finished today with what they call their one reel. Always fun. Get to see what the coordinators and the coaches on each side of the ball, and Coach Lanning kind of floats between the two sessions. Always fun to see some of the focuses for the Ducks heading into this matchup with the Vandals of Idaho. A 4:30 kickoff on Big Ten Network, a 2:30 pregame show for us across the Oregon Sports Network. I look forward to tomorrow's show because we'll have some games to review. There's Big Ten football games tonight. College football season is underway. Week 0 last week. Now week 1's first games coming this evening in the Big Ten Conference. Talk a bit about that. We're going to talk with Jerry and Georgie on the show tomorrow. Last night, Johnny Cornelius and Dan Lanning on the Oregon Football Coaches Show. Really, really great stuff. Johnny Cornelius was awesome. If you missed it, head to the Oregon Football social media channels. Also, you can go to the GoDucks YouTube channel or subscribe to the Oregon Sports Network podcast. Our coaches show every Wednesday night. Coach Lanning will join us every week, and a student-athlete will join us every week. Had a great time with those guys. Johnny Cornelius, his mom is in town, and she came to the studio last night. We had a live studio audience for Johnny Cornelius. It's so cool to hear the story of a guy who came from Harlem, football not a huge focus in the community, ends up at Rhode Island, then transfers here to Oregon, and it's just an awesome, awesome story. And he may very well be an all-conference, all-American type of guy. Really great to get to know him a little bit better. Said that he wore a size 15 cleat. I was actually thinking it'd be bigger, truthfully. I told him that, but no, size 15. I can't fit in that cleat. I don't think anybody in the studio can fit in that cleat. Great time, though, talking with him. Today's show, Dennis Patchin, the voice of the Vandals. We'll get the view from the Idaho side of things here in just a moment. We'll also hear from a number of Oregon football student-athletes, and then a special, actually, feature that we're going to do throughout the entire season. Essentially, the more touchdowns the Ducks score, the more money goes to education in the Eugene community. All in. Love it. Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Austin. Yeah, I like that. We'll talk more about that coming up. So some housekeeping, though. Tomorrow will be our first official picks of the season. Our picks are always brought to you by Seven Feathers Casino Resort, the best in the Northwest. Jerry and Georgie we'll be here. We will make our picks. But last night on the Coaches Show, we had to make a few picks because there's games tonight. Howard at Rutgers. Everybody took Rutgers. The coin, which was flipped by Scott Phillips, took Howard. Thanks, Scott. North Carolina, Minnesota. Big game tonight at 5 o'clock. I went North Carolina. So did Jerry. Georgie's going with Minnesota at home. The coin took Minnesota. And then we all took Illinois, the Illini, to get it done against Eastern Illinois. Those are your early pick-ems. And then we'll have the rest of those picks tomorrow. We will make 17 picks in week 1. Wow. It's going to take us the entire show to make picks tomorrow. Those are your picks brought to you by Seven Feathers, the best casino in the Northwest. All right, Dennis Patchin, voice of the Vandals. Let's hear a little bit from the Idaho side of this matchup. Got to know the guy who is the old voice of the Vandals and the new voice of the Vandals. Talking about that with Dennis Patchin, previewing Ducks and Vandals 4:30 on Saturday with the voice of Idaho. Well, this is a real treat for me because, to give some context, I've followed this guy's career from afar, and now I get a chance to talk to him, and I didn't know how it was going to work out because used to be the voice of the Vandals, now back as the voice of the Vandals. It's Dennis Patchin joining us. And, Dennis, I got to say, thanks for taking the time. And I love that you're wearing the staple, which is the Hawaiian shirt that I've come to love from afar.
Yeah, I only put a coat and tie on when I was doing TV, and I took it off before I got back to my office. And if I'm doing a broadcast, I've got the polo shirt on. But otherwise, I've got a Hawaiian shirt on, so
I love it.
I appreciate that. Thanks for the kind words. And it's funny because Thursday is my last day as a television anchor after 43 years, 40 in Spokane, and I retired to the Idaho radio booth when Chris King, the former Vandal guy who replaced me, got the Washington State job. So kind of crazy.
So it worked out well. So I got to tell you, we have a tradition, and I did not warn you about this. Anytime somebody comes on the show for the first time, we ask you to tell your 2-minute life story. Now, we're competitive, all right? So the goal is to get as close to 2 minutes as possible, Dennis. So this is going to be fun because you've got some changes here lately for the 2-minute life story. You ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay. Timer starts now.
Okay, so my early of my life I spent in California as a kid. So I grew up around the Pac-8 conference before Arizona and Arizona State. Moved to Idaho when we were right before high school. Went to high school in Idaho. Was a student at Idaho State University when they beat UCLA in the tournament in 1977, my freshman year. And my last semester there, they won the national championship. That was 1AA before FCS. Went to Missoula for 2 years, came to Spokane, have spent the last 40 years in Spokane doing a lot of different things, radio and television for all of that. Plus, I did Gonzaga basketball on the radio the first 3 years of their run in the NCAA tournament. I've done Eastern Washington. I've done arena football. I've done hockey on radio and television for the Spokane Chiefs. I did Idaho Vandal football for 5 years, and now that I'm officially retired, I am back with the Idaho Vandals, and I actually get to do football and basketball. So that's it. Spent 40 years in Spokane, did a radio talk show in town for over 30 years, as well as television. So that's pretty much the two. I think it's probably going to be closer to about 90 seconds is what I'm thinking. So there you go.
All right. That right on the money. Pretty close. That was, by my math, 78 seconds.
Yeah, that's all right. I don't like to talk. I don't like to talk about myself. So there you go.
Well, part of why I do it, though, because I can sit here and read your bio, but I don't know what you're proud of. And it sounds like you're proud of being a part of a lot of different things, Dennis, which is pretty darn cool for somebody in this career.
Yeah, some of it wasn't my choice not to do that anymore. Gonzaga, we lost the radio rights. Idaho, the first time I took a new job at a different television station. So there's a lot of things. The thing I'm most proud of is I've been married for 44 years. I have 3 lovely kids and 4 grandkids, and that's what I'm the most proud of. And they all like me for the most part.
I mean, that's the goal. So I have 2. My oldest just turned 2, and my youngest is 3 months old. What should I know? What advice you got?
If you go on the road for anything, don't do anything else other than sleep.
Yep, I've learned that already. That's great advice. I thought, the one that I've gotten, Dennis, over the years is like, well, you can start the souvenir train early or never start it at all. And you're going to save yourself a lot of money by not bringing home a lot of souvenirs. Am I right?
Yeah, I used to do that, and my kids said no. So the only thing I kept from all those years of doing all those games all over the place is I always kept all my press passes.
Yeah.
So and I have like 3 boxes that I'm still collaging around. So yeah, no, that's yeah. Don't do the souvenir thing.
Yeah,
they're just happy to see it back home.
I know. I'm glad to hear that. I've got the board here in the studio of some of the cool ones, and then I've got about 5 shoe boxes that are sitting underneath floorboards here in the studio that I will probably forget someday. Talking with the voice of the Vandals, Dennis Patchin. So you've been to Autzen before.
Yes.
What's the experience that you have there before, and then what do you anticipate for kickoff on Saturday, the environment at Autzen?
Well, actually 3 times I was in Autzen. The first one was the time that Reuben Mays broke the NCAA rushing record. I think it was was it 84?
Okay.
I think it was 1984 when he ran for almost 300 yards. It was a ridiculous number. That's the first time. The next time I went back, Bill Doba was the head coach of the Cougars, and I was doing the halftime and the postgame show. And that's where Washington State had a gigantic lead at the half, and a lot of Oregon fans were leaving. And so that was probably, I think that was I can't remember. Was that 2002?
Okay.
And then the last time I was in there, Oregon just dismantled Washington State. So it is one of my favorite places to go to watch a football game because of the passionate fan base and the noise that the Oregon fans generate. And Jason Eck, the Vandal coach, yesterday in his press conference talked about that will help them, that the noise will help them when they go to places like Montana State and the University of Montana. It won't be as loud, but at least it'll be in a situation where, the crowd is against you. It's full, it's loud. So it's one of my favorite places just to sit and watch a game. Broadcast the game, well, that's a completely different story because sometimes it's really loud. You can't hear the guy sitting next to you. So.
That's true. I always like to ask this of people like you. Oregon has had this rise around college athletics. For someone like you that's covered the industry, that's seen all of this in college football, Dennis, and in college athletics in general, like, what's the view of the Ducks for you and maybe for the Idaho fan base coming into this? Like, what's the thought on Oregon as a whole?
Well, I mean, when you start the season and you got number 3 next to your name, that opens up a lot of eyes, especially at an FCS school, knowing that, you're going to have to play your absolute best game you've probably played in 5 to 10 years as a program just to be hoping to be somewhere competitive and not get blown out of the gym. The Ducks team has been good for a long time and is going to be good. And I think they're one of the teams that are going to challenge for a national championship this year, as long as everybody stays healthy and things go as you think you're going to go. So, there's a lot of respect for Oregon because of their ability. There's a lot of respect because of the team they put together. Dan Lanning is a sensational coach, and Jason talked about that yesterday in his press conference in Moscow. But everybody, including the kids that grew up in Oregon that are on this Idaho Vandal team, have talked about the atmosphere in the building. A, they can't wait to experience it on the field instead of sitting in the stands at 12 or 13. And then B, how hard it's going to be just to even be able to communicate and get anything done, and that will be a real test.
That's Dennis Patchin, the voice of the Vandals. We're going to continue talking Ducks Vandals coming up, a 4:30 kickoff on Saturday. More on the horizon. Stick with us. More with Dennis Patchin after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Kids ask their parents a lot of questions.
Why can't people fly?
Gravity.
Is the moon really made of cheese?
Yep, cream cheese.
When can I move into a big kid's car seat?
For some questions, parents may not have the answer, but that's okay. They can't know everything, but knowing the right seat for their age and size will help protect them in a car crash. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/therightseat.
Where do babies come from?
Good luck, Dad. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now, don't forget to say you will.
Back in the Country Financial Studio, Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Coming up, we'll tell you actually about OnPoint's Give Back to the Community. Pretty cool program that's all about Oregon scoring touchdowns. We can all get behind that. Dennis Patchin, the voice of the Vandals, previewing from the other side. What are we going to see when the Vandals come to town for that 4:30 kickoff on Saturday? Dennis Patchin talking with him here. This has some regionality to it, right? And as college football, of course, has gone much more national with conference realignment and everything else that's gone on. I love that you said that, Dennis, because like me, a little bit of nostalgia comes to mind when you have guys that are Oregonians that are playing at Idaho. That regionality, I think, is a great part of college athletics. I don't know. I just think that's a cool note for this game.
I do too, and I hope at some point in time, most of college sports, I don't think college football will ever get back to that, but maybe the rest of college sports will get back to the regionality of competing in the area. One of the things, and not only has Jason Eck said this, who's the head coach at Idaho, but Aaron Best, who's the head coach at Eastern Washington University, who has played Oregon in the past, has talked about we'd rather play Washington State, Oregon State for a lot of other reasons. One, we recruit the area. There are kids on the roster that grew up fans of those teams and now get to compete against them, and it's another opportunity for parents to see their kids play. So I think if the FCS schools in our area in the Pacific Northwest, Portland State, Idaho, Eastern Washington, had their druthers, they would figure out a way to play those four schools, not necessarily every year, but make it a rotational basis, because even though if you go and get beat, you're still able to go out and show people in the area, hey, we're out there, and we can use that as a recruiting tool.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think it makes a lot of sense. Now for this game, what is the report on the Vandals heading into this year? A lot of excitement around the program, certainly. Maybe start offensively, Dennis. What's the report? What's the scout as we head into this one?
Well, I think there's a lot of excitement because of what Jason Eck has done in the 2 years here. He took over a program as it was transitioning back from the FBS level into the FCS that hadn't been very competitive, had in the 5 years that I did, had one winning season, and really struggled to find their footing. Jason comes in and takes a team that a lot of people didn't think were going to do anything his first year, got him into the playoffs the first year. Then last year they get a first round bye and win a playoff game for the first time since the late early 1990s, I think it was. So there's a lot of excitement just because of what he's been able to do. The biggest question mark for me with this team is they lost a lot of pieces. They lost 2,000-yard receivers last year. They lost their starting quarterback, Giovanni McCoy. Is actually going to start this weekend for Oregon State. He transferred there. They do have 4 offensive linemen back from last year. They lost most of their receivers. They lost their quarterback. They lost their running back. He transferred to the University of Houston. So there's a lot of question marks at the skill position with this Vandal team. One of those questions they think they've answered is Jack Lane, who's the starting quarterback, who's a young kid from Oregon himself. And he has started 2 games and thrown 11 touchdown passes in those 2 games.
Yeah, not bad.
He started for McCoy both times against Idaho State, which is ironic because Idaho State playing Oregon State, and he finally gets to play them. But they like Jack Lane a lot. He's a big kid. He can throw the football down the field. Can he handle what Oregon's going to throw at him defensively? Can he handle the crowd? Those are big question marks. Running back, they got Eli Cummings back. Did not play last year. Was a very key part of that first Jason Eck team 2 years ago. He's a 5'8", 185-pound guy, can run it up inside, maybe not against Oregon-type defenders, but certainly against Big Sky defenders, and can bounce it outside and do those kind of things. Really, the only receiver they have back with experience is Jordan Dwyer, who's a redshirt sophomore. He was 3rd on the team in catches behind 2 guys that were in NFL training camps. So there's questions along those. They like their offensive line. And offensively, and they like the guys. Cummings is a guy that's established, didn't play last year. They think Jack Lane is going to be good. They think they have some young receivers, but there is one senior on the two deep for Idaho on the offensive side of the ball, and that is Mike Martinez, who is a tight end, a transfer from UCLA, who just got on campus the third day after practice started. So there's not a lot of experience, but there's a lot of youth, and they like the youth, and they think that this has a chance as the season goes on to become a better unit. They're probably going to hang their hat on defense, at least early on in the season. Certainly 2 FBS games at Oregon and then Wyoming, and then 4 of the first 5 on the road, including the Big Sky Conference opener. So defense is going to have to get leaned on while this offense grows up.
To that point, sounds like they like what they see defensively. What's the look on the defense?
They do. They like their front four. Keyshawn James Newby is a defensive lineman. He's a kid who went to school at Montana Tech, which is an NAIA school in Butte. It's a great school for mining and engineering, and so is Idaho. So he transferred, play at a higher level, and he wants to, when he's done, build dams. Okay, so this is this type of young man. But they also have a young man by the name of Malachi Williams, who's another good rusher on the outside. They've got some guys, situational guys, they'll rotate through. So nobody on this defensive line has to play more than 55-60% of the snaps. They feel good about that. The linebackers are young. Jackson Eck is Jason Eck's son. He starts his second year as a sophomore. Isaiah King's a redshirt junior. He's a big kid, 6'3", 210 pounds, which is big for a linebacker in the Big Sky Conference. So the linebackers are young, and they do like their secondary a lot. They had 3 FCS Division I or FCS Division transfers to transfer into their secondary, and all 3 of those guys were all league performers in their league. So it's a defense that they think will be able to slow some people down and allow their offense to catch up to them. And by the time we get to the Big Sky season, in the fifth game of the season, that they should be playing well, and they think they're a playoff team right now for the FCS playoffs. So it's yet to be proven, and we'll see what happens here at the University of Oregon.
And it's so interesting. Like, you hear these narratives from one side and the other. I mean, Dylan Gabriel, Duck quarterback this week, even said, hey, you can't sleepwalk heading into this game, right? If you're the Ducks, because for the Vandals, nothing would make Idaho fans happier than a great performance and taking down the Ducks, right? Nothing to lose.
That people would be burning Moscow to the ground. I mean, Here's the funny, and the ironic thing is Jason is, he played at Wisconsin. He's been a lot of places in his coaching tree. He understands what this game means. It's an opportunity to get better. You're not going to play a better team the entire time, even if you make it to the FCS championship game. This is the best team you're going to play. Why not challenge yourself? He says, we got kids that want to play in the National Football League on our team. Well, the first tape they're going to put in, if somebody's looking at, should we draft this guy? Should we sign him as an undrafted free agent? You're going to put the Oregon tape in and see what he did against NFL caliber guys. He also talked about, we have nothing to lose. We're not supposed to win this game. It's not supposed to be close. We're going to be loose. We're going to be aggressive. We're going to do some things, hey, trick plays. Why not? Throw everything at the University of Oregon and see what sticks upon the wall. There's not a lot of people who think Idaho is going to win this game. I think that they're using that to their advantage as they mentally prepare for this contest.
And which I think, hey, whatever works to motivate a team, why not?
Right.
Why not?
And he's done a great job of it in the 2 years he's been there. And why not? I mean, they went down, obviously, Nevada. It was not a good team last year, and they went down and manhandled them. And they had a lead in the third quarter at Cal until maybe the guys on the Vandal team started looking around the sidelines and said, we're up here in the third quarter at Cal. And, and they kind of faded in the fourth quarter of that game. But this is a program that isn't afraid to go play people. It's a program that isn't afraid to play guys that they know are physically better than they am, and they're willing to challenge themselves and see what happens.
I like it. Dennis Patchin, the voice of the Vandals. He'll have the call across the Idaho Vandal Sports Network coming up for the 4:30 kickoff on Saturday. Dennis, hey, thanks so much for taking the time. I look forward to shaking your hand in person, sir.
I appreciate that. Thanks for letting me come on and talk about a team that I think is going to have a pretty exciting end to their season. And it all starts, Saturday in Eugene. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Kicking it off at 4:30, Ducks and Vandals. Dennis Patchin, of course, will have the call on the Idaho side of things. Great to get the view from the other side. When we come back, the preseason trailer for Oregon football. Football seasons are like movies now. Break it all down when we come back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
There's still time to squeeze more out of summer at Toyota's National Sales Event. Now, if I can just squeeze more clothes into this suitcase for my road trip, got it!
Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Event ends September 3rd. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
There's still time to squeeze more out of summer at Toyota's National Sales Event. Now, if I can just squeeze more clothes into this suitcase for my road trip, got it!
Dealer inventory may vary. See your participating Toyota dealer for details. Event ends September 3rd. Toyota, let's go places.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
I'll trust water bottles and a flashlight to save the day, but I'll be proved wrong.
With a tornado approaching, I'll realize that I lack a wheelchair-accessible shelter.
When the floodwaters rise, I'll be up in the attic with 20 cans of beans. It's a recipe for disaster.
let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
More preview of Oregon and Idaho on the way. Joey Mack here with you in the Country Financial Studio. Duck Insider is presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. The preseason trailer for Oregon football in a moment. First, though, talking about touchdowns for teachers and that program that has done an awful lot for the Eugene Education Foundation. OnPoint Community Credit Union obviously does a lot for our show. We don't have a show without the support of OnPoint Community Credit Union, and they actually started, OnPoint did, as a credit union for just teachers in Portland. And that's part of why they are so engaged with education. And the genesis of this program came from wanting to fund education in our community. Obviously something the University of Oregon cares deeply about. My wife was a teacher. I know Dusty Hara's wife is a teacher. This is something that our broadcast crew is impacted by, which is pretty cool. Learning a little bit more about OnPoint and the contribution to the Eugene Education Foundation. Chatting with someone that we call OnPoint's finest here. Something that's near and dear to my heart is education. I'm a teacher in the School of Journalism and Communication. My wife has been trained as a teacher, has been working as an elementary school teacher. That's why it's my pleasure to welcome Dane Sorensen, branch manager of the Coburg Road OnPoint Community Credit Union. The studio audience did not do a good job with the round of applause there. Let's take two, all right? Studio audience, Dane Sorensen is here. We've been discussing inventing titles for people, so I just called you OnPoint's finest. Please tell your boss, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's awesome to be a part of the show.
Yeah, well, I have to tell you, so there's obviously OnPoint logos near and dear to my heart, literally, in the studio. So your support for the show, we couldn't do the show without you all, and thank you. And the reason that I bring up the education front, OnPoint started out with a close connection to Portland teachers and has expanded as a community credit union ever since. Touchdowns for Teachers. We've been talking about it a little bit. You've heard it on the broadcast. Tell us a little bit about Touchdowns for Teachers, will you?
Yeah, it's an amazing program that I'm thrilled to be a part of. We give $1,000 for every touchdown throughout the season to the Eugene Education Foundation to support those teachers because, like you said, education is in our roots.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, people have asked me, too, on the broadcast when we talk about it, like, so what happens with this money? Where does it go? And, well, it's directly supporting education and everything that we're passionate about.
Yeah, and that's what's cool about the Eugene Education Foundation is their ability to fill the gaps where it's needed.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, now I have to depart, okay, real quick, because we have a tradition in the studio. I warned Dane. I couldn't do it to him, everybody. Like, I couldn't just come in and say, all right, here we go. You have to tell your 2-minute life story. So we know you're OnPoint's finest. Please end your 2-minute life story with that. That would be absolutely phenomenal. But we have a timer. 2-minute life story. Dane Sorensen, go.
Well, my name's Dane Sorensen. Currently, I'm the branch manager at OnPoint Community Credit Union. OnPoint's finest.
Yeah.
Originally, I'm from Southeast Idaho, born and raised for the first 25 years of my life.
Nice.
I did my undergraduate degree at Idaho State University in international studies and political and economic development.
All right.
So I'm semi-connected to my career, like most people, I guess. And then worked for a credit union in Idaho for a good little while. And my wife had a job offer at an accounting firm because she's much smarter than me and got a job in her degree field. So we moved out here about 7 years ago to Eugene and never looked back. Don't intend on changing the zip code back to Idaho. We got 2 kids, a 3.5-year-old and an 8-year-old, also in the local school system. So education, again, near and dear to my heart because it's very important that it's cool for them. And got a dog as well that's about 14, getting up there.
Oh, wow.
And then just being from Southeast Idaho, you know, I'm a Ducks fan, but I'm also a Utah Jazz fan in terms of the NBA.
Cool.
Sorry, Blazers.
That's all right. Jazz are cool.
Yeah. And that's OnPoint's finest. End. 2 minutes.
Minute 9.
Oh, damn.
You had another 51 seconds there if you wanted it. Okay, I have multiple follow-ups. I knew that you were from Idaho, so any Vandal connections as we get ready for the opener against the Vandals? Any University of Idaho?
Ducks out of the way. I mean, I did my very first semester at U of I, like, remotely, and I was like, this doesn't work. So I went to Idaho State, yeah.
Okay. All right, so an Idaho State guy. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Idaho State, one of the biggest rivals would be the Vandals. So this is really okay. Great. So we've really got the converging of forces against the Vandals then for you and the Ducks and everybody else.
Yeah, that's right.
That's perfect. Well, a minute 9, you were concise, and I have a feeling
that's always my problem. I talk too fast.
Yeah, but most people would like that. Actually, in radio, that's great. You can come back anytime.
I can come do commercials like the side effects. Like,
yes.
I can do that.
You know, and every time you do that, when you speed your voice up, it gets like really high pitched, and you feel like you've like had a helium balloon. So we'll try it. Tune back in later. Maybe we'll have something for you. In all seriousness, though, thanks for what you do. It's near and dear to my heart, and I say this truthfully. I'm really proud to work at a place like the University of Oregon and to be associated with folks like yourself and that donation that happens every time the Ducks score a touchdown at home. Money goes to local education with the Eugene Education Foundation. So 70 points sounds great every week. I'm in.
Sounds good to me.
That sounds great. What did we miss? Anything else fans should know?
I think just to have one more reason to cheer, if you didn't already, when they punch it in, man, let's send it up and get them another $1,000.
I love that. OnPoint's finest, Dane Sorensen. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Joey.
Appreciate it. It's really a cool thing that OnPoint is doing, and I'm glad that we get to be a part of it once again. So anytime the Ducks score, money for education. Pretty sweet. Now, if you won't get fired up after watching the preseason trailer, then I don't know how to help you. The video crew always does a great job here in Oregon Athletics. Eric Armstead narrating our preseason trailer for the 2024 season just released. Let's watch.
Naturally, humans fear darkness. It's the unknown. The past is illuminating. It is comprehensible. But it reminds us that nothing is guaranteed. In an instant, everything you've ever known can change.
The landscape of college football changing.
Big Ten is getting even bigger.
Boards of the Big Ten is expected to send formal invitations to the Ducks later.
The future is the darkness. Unknown, uncertain, inevitable. But it's not something to fear. It's an opportunity for growth, where the tough don't just survive, they thrive.
Every day we step on this field, we're entering a battle. And I'm talking about the battle within yourself. Because you are all the time fighting human nature. Because what everybody else does, that's called average. Let's be at the mountaintop. When everybody agrees we ain't there yet, we gotta keep climbing. Which means you gotta fight human nature.
Watson will be an absolute spectacle.
What a catch by Fergie! Kenyon Sadiq, touchdown Oregon. Side goes Whittington.
And there ain't nowhere to run to, ain't nowhere to hide. Ducks on the night.
Season starts on Saturday. A 4:30 kickoff, Ducks and Vandals to open up the season on Big Ten Network. We'll, of course, have a 2:30 pregame show across the Oregon Sports Network. Dusty Hara talking with Kobe Savage, one of the veteran newcomers to the team, and then a guy who's now becoming a veteran in Kenyon Sadiq talked with Ryan Milano. I talked with defensive coordinator Tosh Lupoy just today, and, of course, Jerry Allen sitting down with Dan Lanning on the Toyota Coaches Corner. That's all coming as part of our OCCU pregame show at 2:30 on Saturday. When we come back, a few more Oregon football student-athletes. Tatum Tuioti, sights on a big season. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
My son, Ricky, took his life by the use of a firearm. It broke me, and I contemplated suicide. My grandson, I was gonna have to be here for him. I still own my firearm. I keep it in a safe because I want to keep my grandson and myself safe.
Store your guns, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo. Hear more safe stories at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
This message is for Shauna, my mom who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You taught me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
I want you to know. I said I want you to know right now. You've been good to me, baby.
Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Earlier this week, Tatum Tuioti, a guy who's, I think, really changed his body. Like, you look at so many of these student athletes that arrive as freshmen and then what they look like when they leave, working with the strength and conditioning coaches, working with the nutritionists, working with the sports science folks in the Marcus Mariota Sports Performance Center. It sometimes you just see it. And I think Tatum Tuioti would be a great example of, hey, look at what it's done for him, and now hoping to see the fruits of that labor on the field. Tatum Tuioti, one of the outside linebackers, edge rushers for the Ducks, meeting with the media earlier this week.
What's it feeling like to finally get the season underway and hit somebody else?
Sure, I think we all excited. It's been a minute since we went against a different team, so I think we ready. We're gonna do our best. We're gonna try to set the tone for this year.
What did you miss the most kind of about game prep?
Game prep, I would just say like the feeling of kind of just having that, like knowing that you're going against a different team other than your own team. I think just the excitement, the build up and everything.
How maybe has your game prep changed or improved? You've only done this for a year at the college level. Has it changed much in terms of how you approach this with film or anything?
Yeah, definitely. Like film, I would say is one of the bigger things. Just being in my playbook more, being on top of it for the opponents too, looking at formations as well. I think that's one thing that improved. Also, just being able to, like I said before, play the run. I think that's another big thing that's going to play into this year.
Speaking of film, what have you guys looked at so far with Idaho, and how do you feel like you guys can take advantage of them this weekend?
Yeah, I think that we have a good feel for Idaho. I think that the coaches did a good job with the install and allowing us to be able to play fast. So I think we feel good, and I think we're going to be ready to play.
They lost a lot of skill guys, but their offensive line, 4 guys are back. So for your purposes, just not to give away what you picked up on, but how helpful was it to be able to look at film where those guys are coming back, the guys that you're going to be playing are all back there?
Yeah, film it was good. Being able to watch this year's spring game, it was good. Like the O-line, they got a strong group, returning group. We're excited to go against them and just do what we do.
What do you want to achieve this weekend? Not just you personally, Tatum, but as an edge rush group, where you guys got to replace so much production from in terms of pass rush in particular. What'll be success for you personally, for the group to feel like you guys went out and did what you were looking to do?
Shoot, I think all of us, we just want to show the world that, we're one of the best groups in the nation. Us in the edge room, we got depth, and we're ready to show everyone that we can play ball.
What do you think was the biggest improvement for the team as a whole during fall camp? What do you think was that?
Honestly, I would say, defensively, I would say communication, just being on the same page. That's one thing that we continue to work on. And then just being able to stop the run. I think that we've been able to do that much better during the fall.
I don't know if you saw this, but on Saturday, the panel on ESPN College Game Day, 2 of them picked Oregon to win a national title. A third picked Oregon to play for a national title. What do you think about that type of hype, and how do you deal with those expectations?
Shoot, honestly, us in the building, we don't really think about it. We try to focus on the next game. It's a cool thing. Don't get me wrong. We know that we have a good team. We have a solid team. But we always just worried about the next game, and we'll continue to work on that.
As far as improvements, where do you feel like you personally have improved?
Like I said before, in the run game, 100%. Just being more stout in the run, being able to help first, second down. That's definitely the biggest improvement I had.
Kind of goes into that. Is that just like you adding more weight and having your second season here, or is it more technicals or other things like that?
Weight for sure, and then just having that experience behind me. Last year I was kind of just running around for real, but now just having that experience, just being able to set the edge, just having that experience behind me is good.
Thinking about where you were last year at this time going into week 1 compared to where you are now, and also just your group in general, just how more experienced and comfortable are you guys and confident heading into week 1 than you were maybe last season when you guys didn't have that experience?
Yeah, I think we really comfortable. We ready to play. Like I said, we've been waiting to play. So I think, we experienced, we ready to go. And I think we just excited to go.
Particular message that the team or the unit has kind of discussed heading to this weekend that you guys want to make sure that you guys either don't let happen or that you guys do to make sure you don't let yourself down?
Yeah, we for sure got to stop the run. They come out in big personnel, so we got to make sure we stay on the run, and then after that we can have fun on third down.
You're usually deep a little bit on kickoff return, but you on kickoff defense at all? Are you on kickoff coverage at all? I couldn't remember if you were on the kickoff coverage. I didn't think so. Thank you.
Tatum Tuioti meeting with the media. One of those guys that I feel like there's that group of the edge rush linebacker, depending on where they're deployed. Blake Purchase, Tatum Tuioti, Mateo Uiagalelei. That group came in together. Now you're starting to see them as veterans. I mean, Tatum Tuioti is pretty honest. Like, at times just running around out there, still getting to know the playbook, this level of football. I'm excited to watch him play this year. Another guy that figures to be a big deal for Oregon this season was maybe someone that wasn't showing up on the preseason projections. Charlie Pickard, a guy who is from the state of Oregon and playing at the University of Oregon means a heck of a lot to him. Hopes to be a big contributor on Oregon's offensive line. Charlie Pickard previewing Ducks and Vandals. Telling us a little bit about himself, too.
So what has the last 2 weeks been like, not just for practice purposes, but obviously you're getting a lot of deserved recognition at this point?
Yeah, I really appreciate that. It's been awesome, all the work that's been in the dark is coming to light now, and it's just really good having like a whole supporting cast and a whole group and the whole team around me, just knowing what I've been doing, and now I can, put it on show.
Take us back to why you chose here in the first place. I know there were opportunities. It was a COVID year, but you had scholarship opportunities.
Right.
Why was this the right fit, and what has the last couple of weeks felt like where it's all coming together?
Right.
This way?
So my dad went to school here. That's basically the number one reason I came here, is to kind of represent him, our family, everything like that. And then seeing what Ryan Walk did here was pretty, really important to me. Understanding the tradition of everything that goes on here, the tradition of guys like Shane, Jake Hansen, Calvin Throckmorton, guys that have played here and really given their whole life to this program. That's something that I grew up with in high school and something I wanted to keep going on in college. And I felt like this was the perfect place to do that. And tradition's respected like no other place here.
Are you somebody who gets motivated by the players who are ranked ahead of you, Charlie? Because if you look back at the guys in state from 21, all 8 of them are either flushed out or transferred. Every single one of them. Are you motivated by those sorts of things?
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't, but it's definitely not the highest motivating factor at all. The biggest motivation I have is within myself, to be the best version of myself I can be. And, at the end of the day, if that's the best version of myself and people can see that, it's all that matters.
How have you gone about learning center? Because you didn't play in high school. So.
Yeah, I know, it's a good point. Again, just learning from Alex Forsyth and Ryan Walk. Those are the 2 greatest guys I've ever been around. And, Ryan Walk's position versatility. I mean, he was playing tackle at one point in camp. Just being ready at any moment and knowing that you have a group of guys around you who will support you. And there are endless possibilities here to get better at whatever you want to get better at.
Growing up, would your family get together and watch Duck games? I mean, what was that experience like for you
Yeah.
just as a kid growing up in that
Yeah,
area?
so my dad and I went to the 2010 BCS game versus Auburn. And then we went to the Fiesta Bowl, obviously, versus Kansas State. It's very, very important to me. And like I said, with the tradition, I'm able to represent what I grew up with and how important it was through my play here and just how I handle myself. It's pretty awesome.
And speaking on somebody else, Poncho is somebody that you're working with in the interior.
Yeah.
What can you just say about his personality and just his presence around the guys?
Poncho is a kid at heart, but he is simultaneously the most physical guy on the field at all times. He wants to win no matter what. And, that's a guy that when I'm ever around him on the field, I'm very thankful because he's always going to have my back.
Saw in the video yesterday the message you've got for yourself, less robotic, more relaxed.
Yeah.
Practice outside the facilities, how and where,
Yeah.
Charlie? What does that look like?
Yeah, so, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. In my room, literally setting up like this and mirroring like I'm going to be at practice, taking reps like I'm going to be at practice, looking at the script, things like that. Whenever we have off time, like on the weekend or anything, going to a park or going to that soccer field by Hayward Stadium, wherever those 2 fields are, just going there by myself and just mirroring what it's going to look like at practice so I can know what it's going to look like at a game. That's been up there since freshman year.
How much have you been chatting with, whether it was Jackson or Alex or anybody, especially?
Yeah, well, those guys were just in preseason, so they were kind of busy. But I've been talking to Alex and Jackson a lot, and they've always had my back. I'm always going to have theirs, and it's just really neat to see how we're all doing right now and how we're all sticking together.
Given your connection to the place, how do you handle the anticipation of going into a place like Autzen that you care so much about? How do you keep yourself calm throughout the week as you get closer?
Yeah, that's a great question. Like I said, it's just time outside the facility and outside of practice. I'm putting myself in that spot, so I already know what's going to look like. I had lots of reps last year I'm really thankful for, so I know what's going to look like. I've been in high intensity situations before. but just taking advantage of the time we have outside of, like, we don't have school for the next 4 weeks. So just sitting down, focusing, what's it going to look like? What are the plays going to be? What's the defense going to look like? Just playing the game before the game's actually played.
Was there a moment where you just knew, like, I can play at this level? Like, I know there's a path for me to get the field.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be honest. It was when I committed. Like, having that self-belief in myself, knowing that I can really do anything. I have my family behind my back. I have these players here. The sky's the limit for anything anybody wants to do in this building, just because of who we have here.
With Ryan being such an importance to you, what's it like having him on staff as you're kind of going through the same route that he did?
Yeah, it's like he's back as a player. You know, I'm really glad I'm able to talk with him one-on-one about what this is going to look like, what it has looked like, because he's gone through the same exact situation I have and even more, and even on a higher scale. So I'm really glad he's back. Again, like I said, he's one of the most important people in my life, and I'm really thankful for him.
Last question. What's his biggest tip to you then, in trying to go through these
biggest tip?
Yeah, these next couple steps.
Trust your training. Trust your training. Be yourself. Whatever you put on film and what you've been these last 9 months is who you are. Trust in that, and that's who you are, and realize that everything you do has a purpose.
Awesome stuff from Charlie Pickard. You can just hear how passionate he is about this place. Ryan Walk, a guy who's now back on staff. That's cool to see and just hear that inspiration for a guy who's now figuring to be part of Oregon's offensive line this season. Cool stuff. Talking with Charlie Pickard. When we come back, let's hear from a veteran and Jeffrey Bosa onto the defensive side next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, at Country Financial, they make insurance easy. Whether you're shopping for home, auto, or more, their representatives will take the time to understand your specific needs and explain what options work best for you. Worry less and feel more confident knowing you're covered. Visit countryfinancial.com to get started today. Experience more with Country Financial. Auto and home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Preferred Insurance Company, and Country Casualty Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You said you'd never buy your kid candy from the checkout aisle. Or forget extra diapers. You'd never lick your thumb to clean their face. Never, ever become a minivan mom. So when you say you'd never leave your child in a hot car, know it can happen. Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk in temperatures as low as 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Never happens. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
August was born 3 pounds, 9.8 ounces. When I first saw him, it was a whole range of emotions. There's stuff I still want to do. Being a young dad, it's not giving up. It's shifting. I looked through his eyes. I can envision a whole future with him already. To throw the first football to him, give him ice cream for the first time. My life is now devoted to his life.
Through all of fatherhood's firsts, never stop being a dad. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Joey Mack with you in the Country Financial Studio. This week, one of the vets, Jeffrey Bosa, talking with the media about the camp that was. Game week is here, 4:30 kickoff between Idaho and Oregon. Jeffrey Bosa talking with all of us this week.
You're one of the voices of this team. What does that guy mean? Or what, his story, this opportunity that may be in front of him. What does that mean to you when you're one of the voices of this team?
Yeah, it means a lot for a guy who does all the things right, from just on the field and off the field. A guy that's, going to be asking a whole lot of questions in special teams meetings, and a guy who's been seen by other coaches, other players, who's like, okay, he's getting extra work. Where's his opportunity at, right? So now his opportunity, is going to show up, and I know I'm proud of him. I know a lot of guys are proud and happy for him as well.
Jeff, you guys added a lot of guys to the transfer portal on the defensive side of the ball. What's it been like when everybody's coming on the field, whether it's the ones or the twos or during practice and scrimmage? Just what's that been like to see the defense at its full strength?
It's low-key amazing. Yeah, at first, you know, in fall camp, just looking at it, just like you said, from the ones to the twos, it's kind of like, damn, we got all this firepower, right? We have, you know, a good 3-depth type of defense, right? We have guys that can play, you know, and do a lot of things for this defense as well. So, you know, it's kind of surreal, just seeing as much firepower as we have. So.
What's made this program so good of not overlooking opponents? Under Dan Laney, you guys just every game come out and it looks like you're playing at your best level. What makes this team so good at that?
Yeah, I think we just truly try to make that about us, right? You know, it's never about external factors or the other team, right? We know that we have a great team, and we know what, you know, we can control what we can control, right? So, you know, we have to go out there every game just knowing that we got to execute at our highest level, right? It's not about the other team. We got to execute at our best level. So.
How has the staff been able to just implement that culture into you guys?
Could you repeat that again?
How has the staff been able to develop that mindset for you guys?
Yeah, I think they just do that truly every day. Just coming in with the same mentality, same energy every day, just knowing that, you know, there's always going to be rooms for improvement in every aspect, right? So if we can improve every aspect every day, there's to a point where we're going to be unstoppable, right? And so going back to the last question again, it's always going to be about us. You know, it's never going to be about the person that's lined up across from us.
What have you seen from Idaho's offense, where the quarterback played a little bit between the spring game and had a start last year, and I believe the starting tight end was a guy at UCLA who played you guys a couple of years back. Just what have you seen from a couple of their guys?
Yeah, very explosive offense. You know, going off of last year's film and a little bit of this year's film as well. You know, the team that's very coached really well on offense. You know, they like to take explosive shots. You know, they like to, you know, take the top off the roof, right? So then, but then they also pride themselves on a great running game as well. So, you know, very explosive offense that we need to be prepared for, and I think a lot of the guys are prepared for it.
How's it been working with the in-helmet communication?
It's been working real great. Kind of seeing what Tosh likes to, or what the DC likes to see on the, you know, from his aspect, and then also from my aspect coming on the sideline as well, and then having the tablets on the sideline. You know, having those from the fall camp scrimmages is going to be great as well.
Will said on the offensive side, they kind of had to figure out how much he should talk to the quarterbacks. Like, how much do they want to hear? Like, have you had to figure out with Tosh, how much you want to hear and how much explanation you need?
Yeah, just a little bit. Like, you know,
ran out of time today. Jeffrey Bosa. He went on to say that it was a little bit different getting used to the conversation between him and Coach Lupoy. Something that I asked the Oregon defensive coordinator about on our pregame show interview that you'll hear as part of the 2:30 pregame show across the Oregon Sports Network. Tomorrow, picks. Bring your headache medicine.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening.